Hello citizens of the multiverse and welcome to Dark Knight Nation. This week we will be discussing and analyzing Detective Comics number 1020 by Peter Tomasi and Brad Walker. Now, of course, if you've never been to the channel before, on Comics Insider, which is a show on the Dark Knight Nation channel, we like to break down, discuss, and analyze all of the tips and techniques that these creators are using that make their books so great. And if we do happen to pick on something that's not so great, we like to break it down and figure out why exactly that's the case. Per usual, if you stick around to the middle or end of the video, you can figure out how to win a free comic for yourself. We were able to do it on our last video because we were able to hit 20 likes within 3 days. And that's going to be our like goal again for this video. So please make sure if you enjoy it to like this video and subscribe down to the channel for more, and of course answer the question of the day below in the comments. All of those things will help go towards you being able to win a free comic. And just to let you guys know that this week our book was picked via my Twitter, which you can follow me below at DarkKnightNat25, where my followers got to decide what book we reviewed. So make sure if you would like an opportunity to be able to help mold what we do next, to follow me there on Twitter and keep up with everything Dark Knight Nation. With that out of the way, let's get into this review. Alright, so Detective Comics number 1020 by Peter Tomasi and Brad Walker picks up with this sort of dual internal monologue, and I know that sounds kind of paradoxical, but it is between Harvey Dent and his Two-Face persona, and it's kind of meant to pretty much reflect Gotham between the day and the nighttime, where, you know, Harvey describes Gotham during the day as this very inviting and energetic presence, whereas the Two-Face persona describes the evening as this very predatory and vicious thing. And meanwhile, it picks up on a plot thread from Peter Tomasi's excellent Batman and Robin run, where Two-Face actually shot himself in the head, so we're led to believe here that this bullet is still lodged somewhere in his brain and might be affecting him as we move forward. Another important thing to mention about these dual monologues are the inherent natures of each of them, where Harvey opts to flip the coin, is more inclined towards justice, but the Two-Face persona exhibits even more aggression than normal, pushing to go murder full speed ahead, no stop. And so when we actually pick up with Two-Face physically, it's with him enacting his infamous coin flip, trying to determine whether or not he's going to murder somebody, and in this case the DeMarco brothers. The coin flip is decisively the scarred side up, and obviously takes to mercilessly killing both of these men. We then cut to sometime fairly soon after with Batman picking up on the scene. And through his investigation, of course, Batman checks the dead bodies, but not only that, he realizes that both of their guns were hot, leading him to the conclusion that they must have fired and shot Two-Face. Based on the trajectory of the bullets, they couldn't have been very far from one another, and there was practically no way that they would have missed. So, of course, Batman does what he does best as the world's greatest detective, analyzes the entirety of the surroundings, and using that along with what he'd figured regarding the DeMarco brothers firing on Two-Face, Batman draws another conclusion that Two-Face must be somewhere receiving medical care. Meanwhile, well, we learned that Batman's hunch was correct, as Two-Face is hidden at an urgent care unit somewhere in Gotham getting the bullets removed. The first bullet is clear and passes completely through Two-Face, however the second one is lodged deep in his shoulder and proves to be a bit problematic, as every time the doctor tries to remove the bullet, the Two-Face persona unleashes a verbal beating. And with that, every bullet that the doctor attempts to remove angers Two-Face, and in response he flips the coin. Fortunately for the doctor, this time it comes up clear, and as the doctor goes in again to try to remove the bullet, in pain, Two-Face goes for another flip, and the coin comes up scarred. At point-blank range, Two-Face fires on the doctor, murdering him in cold blood to satisfy the anger within him. But looks can be deceiving, as Harvey realizes that the coin was actually the clean face up, and he'd hallucinated what he'd wanted to see. He flails in the emotional turmoil, realizing that he'd murdered an innocent man rather than exacting his own brand of justice, which is an important psychological and thematic presence to this character. Back with Batman, on the other hand, he intercepts a police radio frequency mentioning gunfire at an urgent health center, and of course Batman is able to put one and two together and decides to make his way there ASAP. When Batman appears on the scene, he finds men attempting to cover up Two-Face's murder, by drowning the place in gasoline to eventually burn it to the ground. And of course, Batman engages the thugs, but during the fight with them, Batman notices a really fanatic energy about them and a level of devotion and purpose that he doesn't often find in the hired men. Batman begins to incapacitate them one by one, being the expert fighter that he is, but as he's occupied taking out one at a time, another thug fires on him, and of course the bullet lights the gas and hence the building. Of course, Batman's nature won't allow anyone to die, so he reacts quickly and instinctively to try to save everybody from the flames, including the corpse of the Doctor. And as he returns his attention to the thugs, they commit suicide via some sort of chip that implodes their brain, rather than allowing themselves to be interrogated by the Bat. This leaves him to reflect on what exactly Two-Face is brewing in Gotham at this point, and the seeming lack of Harvey's better judgment in comparison to their previous encounters. And as this issue closes, we return to Two-Face giving the scarred coins that he had stolen from the Black Market Brothers earlier as some sort of communion to his followers, with the newest members of his cult to enact his own vision on the city. Well, to give you guys my final thoughts in summary, I thought this was a really solid first issue, and from reading it the first time to reading it again knowing that I was going to review it, it got better. And it got better again once I read it a third time, and it's just one of those things that continuously gets better. Tomasi does a very good job at planting a lot of character intricacies in this arc, and the thing to take note of is, as interesting as the concept of Batman is, the best part about his world are the characters, right? They're what drives all of the insanity, all of the adventure, all of the mystery, all of the horror, everything. And Tomasi does what he does best and shows an absolutely superior grasp on not only the voice of these characters, but the characterization for both Batman and Two-Face, because, you know, they are the only really big marquee characters in this issue. Batman is very meditative, very deliberate. I think the internal monologue of Batman is one of the best ways to exhibit an understanding of the character, just because he's not super outwardly emotive. But even then, Tomasi is very good at measuring exactly what he needs Batman to show on the outside. I like that he's picking up on his Batman and Robin arc from the New 52, because that was one of my favorite books in the New 52. The only thing I will say in qualifying this is, in order to make this arc effective, he has to elaborate on why Harvey shot himself and why that bullet is lodged in his brain, because clearly it's playing a big role. And considering it's been at least half a decade, it will bear explanation for those who haven't read the arc. Another thing that I really want to take note of here in the positive light is how Tomasi provides a really interesting new direction for one of Batman's oldest villains, while still exhibiting those known characteristics. And I think he really pushes the borderline of the dichotomy between Harvey Dent and Two-Face to a new extreme. And it really adds that level of complexity with these breaks from reality that kind of go further beyond, you know, the psychopathy of Two-Face itself, right? Like, he doesn't have a grip on reality anymore, which totally changes the ball game here. We also get to see Batman in his element as a detective with a very noir tone, and that is assisted really well by Brad Walker with the way he's setting up these panel layouts. One thing that I judged Tynion on in his Batman run so far was an inefficient use of page space, and we got a very efficient, kinetic, visually strong use of page space. When Batman was inspecting the crime scene at the death of the DeMarco brothers, we get these very small panels oriented in a way that draws the eye, that make it feel like all of these small movements are happening in real time. And we fit all that in one page without it feeling too crowded, which I absolutely love, and again just really provides not only a great visual, but paces the scene superbly well. Tomasi definitely develops a sense of urgency here moving forward, but I need more stakes. I think that is my biggest critique of the writing in this issue, is that although I have a feeling as to what's going on, and I'm definitely feeling urgent, the stakes aren't as present. I don't feel as scared for Batman. I don't really question how he's going to get out of it, and I need a little bit more of that. So I'm hoping that by issue 2 in the arc, I can get some of that. It wasn't so bad at all, but I want to get more of a sense of, as to why I should be afraid for Gotham City, for Batman, and maybe even for Harvey Dent. Getting even into a more nitpicky critique, I think that we could have cut a page of Batman in the Batcave entirely. It was literally just him speaking to the computer and the computer telling him what he already knew. Batman actually acknowledges this in the dialogue. Maybe we could have done something else. Maybe we could have added a page to really up the stakes, but again, that is a very nitpicky thing for me to be pointing out. Dialogue feels really strong. It's not overwhelmingly comic book, but it plays to the characteristics of Batman and to Two-Face and the thugs without getting too hokey, so I really enjoy that. I want to focus on the art for a second. Very sharp, very clean rendering by Brad Walker. I think this is his best art that I've ever seen. An excellent use of camera angles to give this noir feel, along with the panel layouts to establish motion and draw the eye in a very kinetic sequence. At no point did I feel like I was reading a comic book here, and even in the slower moments like Batman being the detective, it felt cinematic and it moved well. And based on a conversation I had with Brad Walker on Twitter, he says that some of this was also laid out in Tomasi's script, and I think that's a great testament to the collaboration between these two creators to set up this tone and to set up this visual identity for the book. It was super, super effective, and absolutely pick up this book. If I have to give it a rating, oh geez, it gets better with every read, I might have to give it a 9 out of 10. It was really, really solid, and that extra point that is lacking is, again, just nitpick. A very, very, very minor pacing thing. I want to feel a little bit more of the stakes, and really, you know, to get to a 10, there just needs to be some explosive wow factor that makes me drool. And again, don't get me wrong, because this was absolutely excellent. So please, go support this book. Go pick it up at your local comic book store. Awesome read. Can absolutely recommend this book to you guys. Well, we're going to be giving away a free digital copy of Detective Comics number 1020, which is the issue we reviewed today, courtesy of our sponsor, AJ's Comics in Colchester, Connecticut, who is my local comic book store. They are an awesome shop, and what's really great is if you're looking to subscribe to a comic book pull list subscription, they do everything online, so it's all super convenient, and you get 10% off everything in the store. I really can't express how great the shop is. I spend more than I do on my utilities there every month, so that's got to say something. But all you have to do is like this video. We have to hit 20 likes within the first 3 days of this video posting. Comment down below letting me know, what do you think Two-Face has in store for Gotham City? I'm really curious. Let me know your guys' thoughts. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more. Now, you must follow both myself and AJ's Comics on Twitter. And again, I can't thank you guys enough. So please, make sure you guys enter in for a chance to win a free digital comic, and a great one at that. And thank you for watching another video from Dark Knight Nation.